how important it is to have your own community before you decide to give birth, right?
What you know about like Dhoni? Oh, you know about this. So those are the things I'm trying to change with him because I think वो थोड़ा सा perception भी है, gender perception की.
Correct.
You know, mama may not know about this thing.
Should we worry about our children becoming lonely? Like
When they're actually coming back in the school, में ऐसे लगता है लड़ाई करके आए हैं. कुछ तो एक युद्ध हुआ है जिसका यूनिफॉर्म हाफ बाहर लटका हुआ, बॉटल इधर, डब्बा खत्म हो गया है लेकिन किसी को आधा बांट के आए हैं, किसी को whatever.
The other day I went back home just so that I could take him for that party, and I was like, "Chalo, you have to go now." He's like, "I don't want to go." I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Because I'm going to be 8 years old and now I don't want to jump around like a monkey on these."
My God.
I don't want my child to grow up and then accuse me that you were never there. There are a lot of mothers who have spoken to who try to be that best friend to the child. Do you have that, or do you wish you had that?
I definitely have that.
You definitely have.
I definitely have that. My partner and I decided very early on who's going to do what.
Okay.
Right? Because she needs to have one person that disciplines her and one person that she can run to and she can get the comfort from once that disciplining is happening. Because I was the person who was going to an external workplace and I was not available. For me to take that role that you can come and be with me made more sense. नहीं तो मैं रहूँगी भी नहीं घर पे और आऊँगी और चिल्ला चिल्ला शुरू करूँगी तो मेरा relationship तो जाएगा, right? So we took a conscious call that I'll be the quote unquote bad cop, if you say. That I'll make her do the studies on time. I'll tell her you have to sit properly. तो आपका वो खत्म हो जाएगा spinal whatever gate and all of that. Like I'll tell you how to eat healthy, all of those things. Exercise करना है, कब नींद से उठना है and all of that. And I'm the person that she goes to, like every night की stories क्या है, पूरे दिन में क्या हुआ है, to share all of that. We are very close.
I thought that's the good cop. How do you manage?
I'm the good cop.
You're the good cop.
I'm the good cop. Yeah. He's the bad cop because he's making her like jump through the hoops to be like the good student, good kid kind of a thing. And I'm the person that she comes and relays all that information to. Not that she has a prejudiced opinion of anybody. Kids are kids, right? They will love both their parents equally. It's just that what is your relationship with them? With him, our relationship is like, my father is an adventurer, he's a mountaineer, he's a footballer, he's this, that. And that's what the opinion is also. What about your mom? She goes to office. That's about it. Like from an external person's point of view, he is so many things to her. But I am this person who goes to office. That's it. But internally on a person-to-person basis, she's a person that I go to for all the heart-to-hearts. And I see the same, right? She's an extremely sensitive child. She's extremely intuitive about what is going on around her. And I feel she's like way more mature than either of us. She has an understanding at a different level. I think it's the alphas, the generation that is there right now. They're wired a little differently. Unka maturity level alag hota hai thoda sa samajhne ka. So even when we both start behaving like kids, at certain times she will align her ducks in a row and she'll be like, please behave like this. This is just not done. Any argument, she'll be like, bas, I'm leaving the room if you don't talk normally to each other. So that's about it. So she also keeps us in check that ways. So I think we're all kind of balancing acts for each other. So that's how it works.
What about you?
I think in my case, my husband always says कि यार तू डांटती है तब भी तेरे पास आता है, तू प्यार करती है तब भी तेरे पास आता है. So it doesn't make any difference.
That's one advantage moms always have.
Yeah, like he's like there's like no in my house I don't think there's any good cop, bad cop. I think it's the same. He's care of my husband for like basic things. Otherwise, no, there's nothing. Like we talk about everything, and I think I agree with her where the kids of this generation are a lot more mature, but we don't really have any arguments or anything in front of him. So I don't think he's even there to kind of understand that or to tell us. I don't know whether उस level की maturity है या नहीं है या देखी नहीं अभी तक तो नहीं समझ में आया. But otherwise he's a very like self-sufficient child, I would think. He's very open with whatever he wants to tell me, and yeah, I mean I don't have like such a big insight on that. He comes to me either way, like maar kha ke bhi in the next 3 minutes he'll come.
Yeah,
So,
so I think that's an
I think
advantage
yeah.
that moms have. Doesn't happen with me.
No, even with my husband, it happens. Even when
उसे डांटेगा फिर रोएगी भी फिर लेकिन वापस उसे
even with my he'll immediately but he'll become very conscious about crying in front of us, or she was talking about the incident that the child had with the other kid in school. So even I feel like a little scared sometimes that does he not want to tell us some things or तो मैं उससे रोज पूछती हूँ, always ask him that is everything fine in school. And the third day he got irritated with me. He's like, what is this every day you're asking me? Is everything okay? Is something happening in the bathroom? He's like, nothing. Just relax. There's nothing. But I also think it's a very boy thing. Maybe like boys.
I think the problem is, as you said, schools are black holes, right? In that sense, we don't get to know. So we got more worried because there's this school ends at about 1:30 for him. And then there's this sports 1 hour and it starts at 1:45. There's a 15-minute gap. And we kept asking कि 15-minute gap में कोई तो, but apparently it was a very unsupervised 15-minute gap when children are supposed to change their clothes and stuff like that. The second problem was 1:45 to 2:45 so we chose chess for him. And so he was in first last year. So first, second, third, fourth. 4 saal, used to be different age kids. And he used to play well. So teacher used to put him against the 4th standard student.
Achha.
And I don't know where he learned, but I think boys really get this very quickly where they start teasing. So when he beat a 4th standard kid, he would start teasing them. Now, obviously a 4th standard kid would not take to it kindly. And apparently there would be some fighting and stuff like that. And पहले बोल नहीं रहा था वो. And then gradually we were like, why are you, like, I don't want to go to chess class. So why? And you're like, no. And then we asked the teacher and she said, no problem, he's playing well, etc. One day, my wife did a surprise visit. She went in about 10 minutes early before the class ended and just walked into the chess class. And she said, I found him on the floor and the 4th standard guy is on top of him beating him and the teacher is still there.
Oh my God.
And as soon as the teacher saw my wife, she's like, hey, and she was calling the kids, what are you doing, etc.
They don't care.
So we just stopped. So we were paid the fees for the year, but I said no going to chess class. क्या होगा? हम complain करेंगे, principal को mail लिखेंगे, कुछ होगा. But I mean, first let's stop. There's no point. And we asked him, why didn't you tell us? And like, no, we were just playing.
Yeah.
For boys also, it's very hard.
They don't want to.
What is actual bullying? What is playing, etc. Right? And then I started realizing why he also, as you rightly said, anybody who's bullying is also getting bullied himself. So for him, it became normal behavior that if there is someone younger to you, you can hit them and they don't know the concept of bullying, right? So he would behave similarly with younger kids. And then we would get complaints that, hey, he's, beating someone up or getting into fights and stuff like that. So it's a very, it's a compounding effect actually when all kids start behaving the same way, right? So someone has to put that, and it's right?
Stop.
And bus mein you would have, school bus mein you would have elder kids. So whether it's language, whether it's physically ending up hurting someone, it's very hard to control these things. And it's impossible for I think everybody to have full supervision at all points of time. Of course, this was just absolute negligence on that teacher's part. But we just realized the points of failure are too many. But yeah, apart from asking them every day and making sure that you are doing the best, it's a hard thing to do in that sense. But yeah, I think that's a tough one. But tell me this, do you have like those friends who are also mothers who are like your go-to person for any one of these questions? So Nandini has her elder sister who is her go-to person to sort of seek help as a mother. But, how do you manage that?
I think one of the things we're discussing right before we started shooting is how nobody tells you how important it is to have your own community before you decide to give birth, right? And by community, I mean not only like-minded women, but also having like a mom, like a figure, like mom figure or your actual mother in the picture, right? Because when it comes to what you need right after you have given birth, right? It's just not love, it's not just support, and it's not just understanding, it's a mix of all these three. And when it comes to your partner or his family or mothers that you'll find in your neighborhood, at most somebody can supply you with 2 of those things. Nobody can give you 3 of those things. Uske liye you need to have that mom or that sister jiske sath you have grown up, that person that intrinsically understands you and with whom you can actually be real without the fear of any kind of gyan or judgment, right? Now everybody is, like since you mentioned, right? Everybody's experience with their own family and mothers is very, very different. But I starkly felt that absence कि I don't have that one person जिसके सामने जाके I can whine or I can just tell कि भाई ऐसा हो रहा है मेरे को पसंद नहीं आ रहा है you know whatever is happening in my life or to just ask कि क्या करे because the moment you give birth there is a tidal wave of advice that comes your way क्या करे नहीं करे advice की तो मेरे को कभी कमी ही नहीं हुई है right it's more in terms of किससे एडवाइस चाहिए और किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में चाहिए कॉन्टेक्स्ट समझने वाला इज द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग विच आई कीप मिसिंग सो व्हेन यू आस्क मी डू आई हैव मॉम फ्रेंड्स आई नो मदर्स हु आर इन माई सर्कल बट किसी के साथ भी कनेक्ट नहीं है कि दे इंट्रिंसिकली अंडरस्टैंड कि क्या चाहिए एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट आई थिंक इन मैनी वेज जैसे रोमांस में होता है ना मीट क्यूट होता है इन दोनों यूनिवर्स कंस्पायर्स with mom friends that's the thing universe has to conspire for you to actually meet somebody that can be a mom friend. It's not just as a person do you connect with that person, as a parent do you connect with them or if not completely are they accommodating enough to see कि भाई तू अपना देख ले मैं अपना देख लेती हूँ but we are still there for each other.
We worry about our children becoming lonely, like we ourselves are getting lonelier as we age. So I just keep worrying whether should we stress about this or would it just lead, we'll see where it goes.
So I would, in my opinion, and I'll only speak for myself, I'll just see where it goes because I think I've tried a lot. I've given him everything that I can. Between me and my husband, we've moved to a gated community. There are a lot of kids. I encourage him to go down every day. There's a Didi who can take him down. After that also, and then there are days when he will go down and, there'll be days when he finds people and there'll be days he doesn't find people. I have asked him that does it bother you sometimes if you go to a group of children and they don't want to play with you? He's like, no, it doesn't bother me. I'm fine because then he'll take his cycle or he'll take his skates and he'll do whatever he has. So right now he's very passionate about cricket. So if nobody, he'll ask the Didi that, you play with me. So if you ask me does it worry me? I don't think so because he spends time from 8 o'clock in the morning till like 3:30 in the afternoon in school. And I know he has like a good bunch of school children. I feel beyond that, I don't want to force him because then I think I'll be exhausting him also. I'll be like, if I tell him every day ki abhi ja, go make friends with this person. That also I've tried. And it hasn't worked. I've tried telling him that, go talk to this person. I've also spoken on his behalf. Like I've stood behind him and I'll be like, if a child asks him a question, I'll be like, हाँ नहीं, अच्छा ये ऐसे करता है, ये वैसे करता है. But I just feel that he doesn't want to do it, then why should I force him, beyond a point? So I think I'm okay with it. Will he become lonely? That's something that time will determine. And whatever he becomes as he grows up, as long as he's okay with it and he's able to articulate it to me, that if he's not okay with it and he tells me that I'm not fine with it, as a parent, I will do something about it. But if he's okay with it, then I'm not really sure I want to intervene. Because I've made my attempts. I've done a lot of trying to set up play dates and doing this. And he will do all of it.
I don't know if it's a question of maturity or personality. But my son loves, if he goes to a play date or if he's gone and spent time with someone and he loved that time, he अब मैं रोज इससे घर जा रहा हूँ, अब इससे घर पे ही बैठने वाला हूँ करके मैं, राइट? I'm like, no, इतना सर पे मत चढ़ जाओ करके, right? And the parents would be nice, नहीं आने दो, लिमिट होता है, right? मतलब I would also not want somebody else's child in my house every single day. But I think he's a again, as I said, थोड़ा मेरे पे गया है, वो थोड़ा extremes में रहता है, कुछ पसंद आ गया तो बस यही करना है और कुछ करना ही नहीं है करके. And it would just keep doing that again and again till that door closes. So
literally. बताओ
अब रहने दो बेटा, हो गया.
No, you sense it, right? Because suddenly the parents will आज हम घर नहीं है, आज नहीं बेटा सो रहा है हमारा करके. So you'll be like, यार सच्ची में सो रहा है या they don't want my son to come and play. I mean, you feel bad, right, as a parent कि यार मतलब
of course
कि कैसे समझाया करके कि उसको कि यार
थोड़ा space दो.
So that has stopped. I stopped feeling bad as a parent. I used to feel bad for the smallest of things. Then he was 4 or 5 years old. Now I don't feel bad.
लोनलीनेस वाला जो थिंग है ना,
हाँ.
उसको लेके I used to feel bad because unlike your family who are in Delhi and you can just always have them
Yeah.
back. My brother's family is like based out of like Dubai, and then they moved to Berlin, and then they're moving to different places. I have not really seen him or anybody from his family since 2019. She had just met her cousins once, and उसके बाद से 4-5 साल से she's just saying वो लोग कब आएंगे, when can I go to see them. So that's her hunger for that connect कि मेरी भी कोई family हो. Like she will go to her school and family tree पे she'll write their name and say I also have somebody like that to show for कि I have clout, dude. Like nobody is actually telling her कि you have to feel that way or something, but that comes internally from her end. So we moved to this building 2 years back. Initially बहुत time लगा adjust करने में because the kind of people were different. Kids, as you said, they're very mean. They don't allow somebody new to just come in and just be there. They were they're like tiny bullies also, right? They might look cute, but they're like real bullies. So initial because I'm very protective, like I was like, though I didn't fight with them or their families, I would say, mat khelna uske saath, chhod de. You can be there yourself. Why do you need that person if they're making you feel bad a certain way or whatever? But over a period of time, that ice broke. And अभी क्या होता है कि 6 बज गए तो डोरबेल बजेगा, उसके दोस्त आके पूछेंगे सो रहा है क्या. अगर नहीं भी रहेगी तो घर पे घुस के उसको लेके जाएंगे. It is like that. So I understand that there's a shift that happens and it takes time. Yeah. But initially as a parent, you do feel bad if your child is at the receiving end of either of these excuses. I also faced that. So she used to like this. She used to really be close to this one girl in the building. And उसने suddenly बीच में आना बंद कर दिया. तो she would go and knock on her door and say, will she come? And मम्मा मुझसे उसकी कराटे क्लास है, उसका ट्यूशन चल रहा है उसका. So much so that कि it was her birthday and she went to ask her कि please come to my party. And then she said मेरा karate class है. And then I also went to request कि I understand but it's her birthday, can you send? Okay, we'll come. They didn't come. So I was like, read the social cues and just move on. हमारे लिए ठीक है, हम बोलते हैं मूव ऑन. बच्चों को ऐसा नहीं कि उसको हर्ट हुआ है. शी इज स्टिल लाइक समझ नहीं आता.
But she also must be like a very compassionate child in general.
Very, very.
Like so she kind of feels उसका EQ बहुत ही अच्छा होगा. I think which I feel in boys it's not to this extent, right? I don't know, I could be wrong. Like does your son?
He's very emotional.
Yeah, like
He's
this.
Very emotional.
Like with his friends and all, he feels like so.
I think. So it's not emotional from a perspective that he'll go out of the way to keep someone happy, but he feels that, at least that's the reason I say he's very emotional. उसको बुरा बहुत लगता है.
अच्छा.
Right? And sensitive. हाँ, but I mean that's also part of emotion only. तो हाँ, sensitive तो है वो. मैं भी हूँ. Like मेरे को भी बहुत बुरा लगता है. तो I'm like चल ठीक है, अब क्या करें, मतलब जो है वो है, right?
No, but this interesting incident, it happened in our previous building where my son went down with the Didi and this one friend he had in the building all the time, this girl, 1 year older, she pushed him in the pool. And it's a very dangerous thing, right? He doesn't know how to swim, 5 feet ka pool.
5 feet pool, huh?
Yeah. And he came up and he was drenched and obviously I was worried. I was like, what happened? That child, she immediately tried to cover up that, he fell. And I saved him. I was the one who jumped in. She was like an A-level swimmer. So I'm the one who saved him. My son stuck to the fact that no, she pushed me. She pushed me. I asked Didi. She said, Didi, उसने धक्का मारा था पीछे से. हम लोग तो बैठ के सिर्फ मोटर बोट चला रहे थे pool पे. Now it like cut to around 3 months also after that. He just refused. The child came every single day like to say that, now we can play. I'm sorry. Now can we play? And my son just refused. And I asked him like many times that what happened. He just had this thing that I will think about. He used to say, okay, I'll think about it in November. Like we'd be in like March and he'd be like, maybe I'll start talking to her in November. Maybe I'll start talking to her next January. But the premise of this was that, she lied to me. That's what he told me, that she lied. She did something very wrong. She potentially put my life at risk. So I don't want to be friends with her. So I would say he convinced me that, okay, fine, I also shouldn't force him. Because beyond the point, he was like, why are you forcing me?
I think it's normal behavior for kids. No? I actually now understand when as an adult, a lot of times people have told me, "Tu kya bachcho se harkatein kara karege?" Which is exactly that, right? You know, you just stick to your round and it may be an irrational thing, but you're not willing to let it go in some ways.
Yeah, maybe that's this thing.
That's what happens when you're really young or maybe even really old, right? I think like now I'm also facing that with 75-year-old parents where you're like, now I get it when people say that age when your children are sub 10 and your parents are 70 plus, thoda zid aa jata hai, and then there's no rational logic or explanation as to why something has to happen.
Yeah. See, that's what she was talking about. Our generation. We are stuck in between even in the logic that was said.
दोनों साइड का
है ना? दोनों side से we are like stuck.
Let's get to maybe a little happier memory in that sense. Favorite thing that you took to school in your dabba?
Favorite thing, I mean, so my mom, like I said, right, she's very passionate about cooking and all of that while we are growing up. So dad का जहाँ पे भी posting होता था, it was her thing कि उस region का cuisine मेरे को सीखने का है. So when we moved to Wellington, Ooty, she not only started learning the South Indian cuisine, not South Indian, stereotyping it, but more in terms of like the Chennai-based food that is there, right? So she wanted to be so thorough about it that she took that वो stone वाला grinder आता है ना जो proper जो उठा नहीं सकता इंसान वैसा type का to be like I'll be authentic, I'll do this and
the chawal and then grind the...
Then she started a trial. अब क्या है trial के वक्त guinea pig भी अपन को ही बनना पड़ता था, right? That you will put like those clumpy pieces of dosa also. वही खा के चलाना पड़ता था Sunday. Sundays used to be our trial day.
That harsh to her. Right?
No, I'm not saying that. After the trial, then we reap the benefit also of it. कि जब वो proper crispy dosa बनने लगा तब भी हम ही ने enjoy करा. So if you say कि वो डब्बे में क्या आता था, I used to love having dosas and I used to love having medu vadas and idlis. It used to be like my go-to thing. I used to love having that kind of food because it was very new for us. Yeah, we are Bengalis. So South is like out of the picture for us. तो हमारे लिए सब कुछ नया था. That खट्टा खट्टा रसम वाला taste was very different. The whole texture was very different. The graininess of the idli was very different. The crispness of the dosa was so different. So texture, flavor, the entire thing, the palate was dancing with it. So we did feed in a lot of trial sessions also, but then we were very happy when it turned into a success and it continued to do.
What about you?
So I think Maria is talking about like the South Indian, like Tamil Nadu food. I have had sabse kam only because of my Delhi influence. So my mother used to do the regular roti, sabzi every day, which I never really enjoyed much. But I have memories of, I love parathas, of course, stuffed parathas. But there's a way of like making it like not ki itna sa dalu. Like you have to stuff it with like a lot of aloo or gobi or paneer.
Like a typical Delhi paratha with like full ghee and stuff like that.
With like butter on top. And of course, I was telling you about the aloo chaat that my dad used to make.
Yeah.
He used to make the hari chutney also and he used to put it in that and nicely mix it and give it with a lot of chaat masala. So yeah, I think these two things I remember.
Did you ever get that in dabba, the aloo chaat, or that was just more for home?
No. We used to take it in a dabba. And though that was the day when all my friends used to come. I mean, you have to announce ki aaj aloo chaat.
And everyone would come and say, let's...
So two things. One was aloo chaat. The other thing was bread pizza. Bread pe, that one of my best friends, her mom used to make it. That was also very funny because वो आता था डब्बे में, the cheese used to be stuck on the ढक्कन and the bread and the sauce used to be in the dabba. But I think we were so like, we were not fussy at all. We just used to eat whatever was available, and these are like some of my memories that I have from school.
No, excellent. I think it's already also lunchtime and we have our Little Joy's tiffin break. So we thought let's quickly see if we have got your favorite dabba. Okay.
Oh wow.
So we have the idli and vadas for you.
Things
I'll
will come out.
Let's see if we got your meal. So you also did you use your dabba as social currency like she did on a...
Always, of course.
It was always.
So I think food is anyway a very complicated relationship for parents as well as children in that sense. And I'm sure because both of your children also ate, you've gone through that phase of tastes changing. Like we used to be very happy that you used to eat every sabji.
Yeah, and now
suddenly it's like one or two sabjis only.
Yeah.
And you'll make it one day and suddenly they'll be like, oh, I don't want to have this because my tastes have changed. I'm like, अरे ये क्या हो गया? Right?
या मेरे साथ तो ऐसा नहीं
हुआ है.
Touch wood. She eats everything. Whatever she's served, she'll...
I hope it doesn't change. Like for me, like a year back when he was 7, suddenly everything changed. पहले तो हम गुस्सा होते थे, थोड़ा स्ट्रेस लेते थे कि यार ये बर्गर पिज्ज़ा नहीं खाता है, बाहर जाके भी दाल राइस चाहिए. लेकिन बाहर आके कहाँ से दाल राइस लाएंगे, right? Now that he's tasted and likes it, it's exactly the opposite. दाल राइस नहीं चाहिए, यही चाहिए करके, right? So I think goes back to a little bit of, we take a lot of stress, but there's a natural progression to everything, and there's always very difficult to control at what point of time they learn what and what they'll start craving.
Oh, evolution
And
to hai.
changing that habit is even more difficult, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, already we've got a list. Tomorrow is his birthday, and we've got this list of items that we said we're going someplace, and this is the menu. This is the only thing I am going to eat. Because my birthday, you have to get it, right? So,
हाँ ये भी बहुत होता है. It's my birthday month, it's my birthday week. वो धीरे धीरे उतर के like I'll do this only. It's my birthday month, it's my birthday week. I'm just waiting for that year over.
but I think it's different for boys versus girls. She's like looking at us कि बस तुम कैसे बच्चे हैं तुम्हारे घर के टाइसी.
Not exactly like that, but my experience is a little different.
But she's also very passionate, like cook herself, right? Like she also involves her child a lot.
Yeah, we
in
cook
the
along. Like we
cooking
have like proper cook-alongs, and
Yeah.
she's a very adventurous eater when it comes to trying newer things. So she's into Japanese cuisine and Korean cuisine and all of those things. So if you look at my pantry, I've got every kind of sauce and seasoning and everything, because I know that she likes that and she might want to try that, right? So that's one thing that she wants that. And she's recently developed a taste for sushis, right? And I was like, ज़्यादा expensive हो रहा है यार, अभी इतना नहीं maintain कर सकते. And then I was like, कि ठीक है, like yesterday I had the shoot, right? So वहाँ पे there's Farid's, which has that sheikh paratha. So I was like, ठीक है, I'll take it home, and brought it. She's like, I'll have the kebab, but I'll have my khichdi only घर का. So she's like very hell-bent कि मेरे को healthy खाना चाहिए. I might partake a little bit in terms of taste and all of that, but end result is I need to have healthy home food. So that has not moved at all for her.
That's amazing.
In fact, if I happen to, and you know how much I love vada pav and samosa pav, so if I happen to order it, I really have like that eye roll coming. कि you guys are eating from outside again. Like health का नहीं सोचते हो तुम लोग type. So
Are you sure she's 8?
yeah, she just turned 8 in June. Only.
I don't know. Most 8-year-old kids I know are like love junk food, and they're like, yeah.
It's not like she doesn't have junk at all, but she has a very definite thing that when it comes to my primary meal times, that is
yeah.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm going to have homemade healthy food that is there with lots of raw
homemade
carrots and
food or healthy food or both?
both. So when she's eating sushi, it's from outside, right? मैं नहीं बना सकती हूँ.
You've explained the concept of, I mean, of course, we've also tried that there's junk food and there's healthy food. I think schools also try it.
She did an entire project around it, no? What is junk? What is this entire EVS chapter around nutrition? You know the different carbs and the proteins and vitamins and minerals and fats and what comes into it. Why your thali should look like a rainbow because of this. So she not only, like, that's what I meant, like when you're understanding concept and you're applying it in your real life, she does that. Like I have salad में carrot भी होना चाहिए, cucumber भी होना चाहिए, beetroot भी होना चाहिए, all of these
सारे colors होने चाहिए.
colors होने चाहिए, because that shows the variety in terms of my immunity building food items, which is your vitamins and minerals, fruits and veggies, that is there.
I think you're gonna, after this episode, you're gonna get a lot of requests for contact details कि हम कैसे सिखाएं करके. I don't know, मतलब I struggle to get this salad तो मतलब भूल जाओ मतलब.
Yeah, my son eats salad because it's a part of all our meals.
Yeah.
We always have salad cut on the side. तो कुछ और खाए ना खाए, he eats that. And he's very, very skewed towards non-vegetarian food. Oh, you give him like the bilkul, like desi curry and bhakri also, he will eat it happily.
Actually, coming back on the topic of food, just one aspect, and like on the topic that we were just thinking, right, the non-veg thing, etc. Have you ever leveraged your child's interests to have something on your own? Like, let me give you an example. When my wife feels like having an ice cream, she'll ask my son, "Ki, you've done a great job today. Let's have ice cream." Right? And I'm like, "Aisa kya kar diya karke?" And then we'll go, and obviously he'll get one, and she's like, "Oh, we have anyway come here, so I also want one ice cream." I don't know. Like I find that like
Of course,
Yeah, all the time.
of course. क्यों नहीं किया होगा? It's like a thing. Like,
So what's the thing?
यार वो मेरा time to time depend करता है कब
Okay.
किस चीज़ का mood है. So generally I'm a savory वाला person, not a sweet person, right? But rare है कि I get this like कि आज मेरे को donuts खाने का मन कर रहा है तो I need to have this truffle pastry today or something.
So tell your
So I just
daughter
like
that.
do this.
Chal.
मन कर रहा है क्या करने का. She'll never say no. She'll say okay. Then I'll tell my partner उसने बोला ऐसा करने के लिए so I'm ordering. You need anything? बाद में मत बोलना मेरे को भूल गया and all of that. So yeah, of course, definitely.
What is your
I think-
advice?
No, in my case, I think, again, yeah, I do it a lot. Like parent-teacher meetings, I have the teacher has given a good review. आज हम खाएंगे. इसको बोल दिया. Then same thing. उसको खिलाएंगे. Yeah, I'll also just take one.
So one of the topics that's always intriguing to me is what is my job as a father and am I doing enough? Because usually most fathers, they'll not accept it, but I'm sure they are always internally thinking. They also get feedback from the spouse that you're not doing enough. But I think generally it's a hard problem because we've not seen our fathers, at least if you look at how we learn parenting. I never saw my dad around much. So am I trying a little bit harder? Yes, but would love to understand from both of you, how have you split, if that's the case, or how have you sort of figured out a complementary way to parent your child?
Well, in my case, yeah, what you're saying, first of all, is absolutely true because generationally speaking, I don't think men in this country have been groomed in a way that they know that once a child comes into the picture, I'm supposed to be supporting in XYZ kind of a thing. There's a enormous amount of expectation from the women that, you know, they will figure it out. I don't know why it is, they'll figure it out. Kyun? I mean, it's not nature or biology, you know, it's like a lioness who knows how to take care of the cub because intrinsically it comes to us. But we are dealing with the drudgeries of a modern stressful environment in which we need, if not a lot more, but at least equal support on a day-to-day basis, right? But Indian meds are very, I mean, the Indian mindset is a very kind of a Raja Beta kind of a thing that if I'm your mother, then मेरे बच्चे को ये होना चाहिए, वो होना चाहिए, but उसे क्या करना चाहिए, that I have never taught that person, right? So, one of the critical points that I considered before actually saying, yes, I want to have this child is to really figure out if my partner was up to that game or not. Will he take care of or not? So, very early on, what I had figured out that he was always there, like he cooks and he'll be there with the chai or coffee in the morning and breakfast. He's a very caring, affectionate person. He's extremely sensitive and emotional when it comes to the day-to-day life, you know. So that way, I had a lot of hope in terms of, okay, samal jayenge or whatever. But it's a learning process. Nobody can prepare you for, you know, what childbearing and then child rearing is going to ask out of you, right? And I think that both of us at the initial stages had a lot of conflict in terms of who is going to take what role, right?
Okay.
Who is going to help out with what. And this quintessential thing मेरे को नहीं आता है. अरे मेरे को नहीं आता तो सीख लो ना यार, मेरे को नहीं आता है.
Give me an example.
For example, if like certain things, like if I have to change a diaper, right? And I would initially ask him, and initially I used to be very scared of the kid. Ki if I hold her wrong, maybe I'll break her or something. So first 3 to 4 months, I had to really push him to be close to the child. Give a bath together or something. But he would always push his mom, ki aap jaake kar lo, aap jaake dekh lo.
So I've seen a big difference. I think this is lack of confidence till the child is able to speak and walk, right? My question was more post that. I think pre that, I could argue that there are things that automatically, even the child is more comfortable with the mother as such. Simply the fact that you're breastfeeding will just develop a natural comfort to a lot of other things. But if you look at post 18, 24 months, right, which is where a child is able to give you a feedback. When they're able to walk, they're able to talk, they're able to also give you feedback, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's when it can become a much more equal parenting than maybe before that. And maybe I'm wrong, but let's for a moment focus on the 2+. And because now both of you have 8-year-olds, let's look at today, right? Let's not think about what happened in the first 2 years. But today there's an equal opportunity. Both of you are working.
Yeah.
Even in your case, both of you are working, right? So technically how do you manage that aspect is what I would love.
So I think in my case, it's a little different. Very early on, we decided that one of us will stay at home to take care of the kid, right? I understand the whole concept around we'll have help at home, we'll have a nanny at home or whatever. But हम दोनों को ये लगा that if I have consciously brought another life into this world, I would want them to have like a proper sense of that family all the time. It is not that school se aake I don't get access to my parents, so there's nobody waiting for me at home. We didn't want that happening, right? So for the first 2 years of her life, I was the one who decided that I'm going to work from home or however, and you go out and figure your stuff out. But after that, we decided that because I was very ambitious, so to say, when it comes to work as such. He's more driven by passion. That this is the love that I have for this particular work and I'll go ahead and do that. Might take time, might take like money will be a little less, whatever. But when you are raising a family, there are certain practical things that you need to take care of, right? Immediacy and adequacy is very, very important at that point of time. So I said that I'll become this person and will you take the homemaker role? And he agreed to it, which for me was a surprising bit, right? I haven't come across many men who are okay to stay back at home and take care of that role in a full-fledged manner, not like half-assing it. Kya I'm at home, but bas ho gaya na main ghar pe hu to uske aage kya hai and all of that, right? Initially, we had that bit of a phase because we had recently moved to Bangalore. I had taken up a job and he was staying home all by himself for the first time. So yeah, the first 3 months were difficult. We needed some help in terms of having his mom come over and then stabilizing us. But post that, he grew into that role in terms of, learning how to comb her hair, tying it up, dressing her up, giving her a bath, feeding her. No, in fact, he is so particular, kaun se time pe khana hai, kaun se time pe usko pani chahiye. It's like clockwork, right? So he has grown into that role and he has taken it in his stride ki agar maine responsibility li hai, then maine wo completely liya hai. And for me, that's a very noble thing to do from, Indian men perspective, so to say. Because सबको most of the life it's like बना बनाया ही मिल गया है सब कुछ and I need to be like served hand on feet or something like that. But when it comes to actual bearing the burden of the family, very few people actually stand up and say, okay, I'm up for it and I actually will follow through what I'm saying I will do, right? So that has been the same. In fact, we're just waiting till she turns 10 and he'll again go back to doing what he wants to do or wanted to do at the very start, right?
But do you think it's a little bit of role reversal. But why do parents need to do that sacrifice? Let me give you an example. Like my wife, both her parents were working. She grew up in a daycare till she was a teenager, right? Why should any parent sacrifice? I know he's passionate about it and say, I'll go back to the passion. But there is this time period where he's not following up with his passion, right? What is so wrong with putting your child in a daycare where she's going to get cared for? Are we infatuated with trying to make sure that, no, we know best and this has to happen? And, I keep telling, like, when my child was about 2, and I said, let's put him in a daycare. And my wife was like, no, what is the point? We'll get a nanny, we'll do this, we'll do that. I said, you grew up fine, right? You had a great experience, you made friends and everything worked out well, right? So, if you can afford a daycare, which I'm assuming if both parents are working, they'll figure it out. Is it so bad?
So, I think coming to the first point, is there a need to sacrifice? So, with us, the case in point that we put is that we will not do it if we think that this is becoming a sacrifice for us. I mean, when it comes to
time doesn't come back, no? Like
so
today if I'm 35.
He's already like 10 years my senior. So in a way, from a career perspective, he has done a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have already. So he was at a juncture in his life in which he felt that I have done the things that I have wanted to do. Now I can take a step back and really figure the family scene out. I'm not saying it came naturally to him and he kind of literally said overnight, boss, I'm going to become this father figure. But no, when he did it, it was a very conscious decision that we'll go ahead and do that.
And why I ask it, sorry to interrupt, is most of the situations would be role reversed, where there's a reason why India women in workforce is so low, because a lot of them post becoming a mother usually take a break. If not a break of 2 or 3 years, sometimes a permanent break, right? And usually this is the sacrifice that comes in. Like, this is a very common conversation. Every time my wife gets overwhelmed, the question is, hey, let me just take a break from work, right? Because it's the thing that first comes to your mind.
True.
That work is, or the hours that we're putting into work, or the stress of work is coming between me being a good parent to my child, right? And maybe it's because I'm also not that supportive. Maybe it's because I couldn't do a lot more and I'm not doing it. But I keep having this discussion that let me step up a little. But in spite of that, this will not go away. Parenting is just hard in today's day and age, right? Especially if both parents are working. Like, my mother, in fact, was talking to us recently and said, hey, both of your work hours have become a little longer than before. I can see that you guys are spending less time with your child because we all stay close together, right? And it is what it is. What do I do, right? And she felt so bad that, inadvertently she is saying that I should not work, or I know this happens, right? But I feel that over the long run, we as parents will sort of feel bad that, and that's where the expectations come in. कि हमने कितना sacrifice किया है. Like you mentioned, right? Being that millennial parent is sacrificing for everyone else and मेरी बारी कब आएगी. Part of that decision is also, not leveraging the ecosystem that has evolved. I mean, daycares used to be there even before, at our times. There used to be more of one auntie who would have 3 children at home and say, yeah, right? Now it's evolved into a sophisticated business altogether. We still have the aunties who are like, घर पे 5 बच्चे आते हैं. We've tried everything, right, in that sense. Now I think he's at an age where we've realized after school, because my mom and dad are there and he's 8 years old, he can sleep on his own, eat on his own. तो झंझट नहीं है. But sometimes I worry if, this aspect where usually it's the mother, as you're saying, there is a novelty in the fact that in this case your partner took that choice, but I still feel that it's a little harsh on us as parents. And we may still do it, because we want to do it. We love our children. I don't think I love my child less if I'm sending him to daycare. Or even to boarding school for that matter, if I feel that is the right thing for everyone else.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of like doing anything wrong as a parent if you are doing what you are doing in terms of sending them to daycare or to boarding school, etc. At the end of the day, it boils down to a personal choice as to how I want to raise my child, right? And there is no one way to do it. There's no one right way to do it. The fact is, no matter what you do, you have studied that thoroughly and you're okay with it. If I've made my peace with the fact that, okay, this is how I want to live my life, then that's it. Then I don't have that doubt that मैंने sacrifice कर लिया and all of that. Then I don't have that resentment that I'll hold कि तुम्हारी वजह से मैंने sacrifice किया. And now you have to reach up to my expectations or live up to my expectations because XYZ sacrifices were done for you, right? So I'm not saying कि sacrifice करना चाहिए at all. I'm just saying this is the way we chose to do it. But we don't consider this to be a sacrifice as such. This was something that we very mutually decided that we wanted to do because we felt that we wanted to provide that sense of family, that sense of coming back to a parent together, whatever. It was a very traditional mindset that we had in mind, right? And when you say that your wife felt that pinch of guilt and all of that, it is kind of ingrained in a woman's mind in some way कि दो तुम दोनों को बोल रहे हैं, primarily मेरे को ही बोल रहे हैं. Because ये अंदर से आदत हो चुकी है that woman is going to be or the mother is going to be the primary caregiver, तो उसका काम करना is something that I'll doubt first before going to the man, right? So that is something I think generationally has been heaped on and on and on कि अभी अगर कोई directly नहीं भी बोलता है तो ये मेरे दिमाग में there's a voice that is going to tell me, oh fuck, it's about you. That is how you should be looking at your life. Completely agree with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with sending your kid to a boarding school, sending your child to a daycare. When I feel that this is the optimal that I'm doing, that person is going to be safe, they're in good hands, and 360-degree development में कोई कमी नहीं आएगी, right? Not taking away from that at all. It is just that we had a personal take on it. We wanted our nest to be a certain way. We wanted our daughter to be brought up in a certain way because we have felt that comfort or call it luxury in today's time to have a home in which you go and sit with your parent and have that food and have that for one-on-one conversation or FaceTime. Kabhi kabar I actually say that, I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things. She's only going to be home by, like 16 years. अभी 8 की हो गई, 8 और साल है. उसके बाद तो मिलेगी ही नहीं. अभी जो ये टाइम मिल रहा है मेरे पास, it is so precious to me that I want to have as much of it as possible. But then that's a personal choice. I'm not saying that somebody who's deciding to go back to work or somebody who is gone and enjoys their work, because that is me, right? Has anything that is going wrong in their life. It is the mentality of a parent कि you are in two spaces at one time. अगर काम पे हो तो घर के बारे में सोचोगे, अगर घर पे हो तो फिर काम के बारे में सोचोगे. There's no other way around, and that is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that is my side of the story. That is how we are doing it. I'm just happy to hear your story. And
Nandini is, as usual, I think throughout this episode, she's been like very balanced. Yeah, sorted as.
saying like one after.
No, but actually both in my husband's home and my home, as kids, I think our fathers were very, very involved. So my father used to wake up every day and make us bonvita, and he would come and give it on the bed. He would drop us to the bus stop, and that's what I've heard about my husband's side.
And you recall, you have all these memories.
Oh, major memories. Like, I remember it. He did it till the day I got married, so it never stopped. Though I threw a lot of it in like the planters. But the point is that he did it like every single day. He would make sure, he drops us to the bus stop even till we were like 13, 14 years old. After that, he started going on now, of course. And likewise for my husband's, in my husband's home also, I believe his parents, in both our sides, both our parents were working. So his father would come back in the afternoon just because the school bus would come on the opposite side in Delhi on the ring road, and kids can't cross themselves. And then at that time, there was no concept of bus didi and all, only one driver. So father-in-law used to make them cross the road, put them in a creche actually in the afternoon, and then go back to office. So that involvement was there. So I think in our case, like now with us, we are more privileged because we can afford a house help. Of course, we both work, but it's pretty balanced that way. There are just certain things said which I also don't mind in the morning. I'm the one who wakes up and who gets him ready for school. What I see from my husband's side is a lot of teaching, like a lot of numbers and a lot of, when it comes to sports, like the very typical, my boy is a very typical boy, at least as of now. Like everything he wants to do is very like boyish only. Like, very consciously, it's a very boy thing. And somehow my husband's also like that only. So they both have a lot of conversations around sports, and he teaches him, like I said, a lot of academics. So I think the involvement in that way is the same.
So there's a standard split as to if your father will teach sports and get involved in those discussions, and the rest.
Yeah, I mean, there's no split that way. It's just that I don't have anything great to offer, like when it comes to sports. So I don't know what to say. Like, I know, like, he'll be surprised sometimes. He'll be like, what you know about like Dhoni? Oh, you know about this. So those are the things I'm trying to change with him, because I think वो थोड़ा सा perception भी है, gender perception की, mama may not know about this thing.
Or boys generally talk more about sports.
Yeah.
In school also that happens.
Yeah, that happens in school also.
Yeah.
So I think those things I'm changing, because that day he was like, oh, you know how to hold a bat. Oh, you know how to like bat, and you know how to throw a ball. So I was like, yes, I do. So I also play with him. But yeah, I mean, we both don't get so much of time with him on the weekdays. Weekends
is when you try.
Yeah, and the one thing we've kept consistent for the last 8 years is, I think we've taken him with us everywhere. Because कोई है ही नहीं हमारा यहाँ पे Bombay में. Like, where do I leave him? If I can't take him with me, the only other person I can leave him with is the house help, which also I've done. It's not like I've done it like extensively. But otherwise, like with our friends and everything, like we take him along with us. So it's pretty balanced. Yeah. You got it right.
It's interesting actually. I think a lot of, if I see my wife and her view of parenting, very, very governed with both her parents were working, and she grew up in a creche. At least most of her childhood, school, creche. And they obviously remember a lot of post 6 p.m. when people would come. They were in central government, so 6 p.m. they would be home. सरकारी नौकरी का वो एक फायदा हो जाता है.
I mean, my dad was in the central.
Yeah. So, but in my case, though my mom used to work, she had to after I was born. I had to leave after I was born. And I see a very different side. Like, she was always there, but my dad was never there. Or it was maybe just relative. Maybe it's our mind playing tricks, where if you have a lot more memories of, you with your, I have a lot more memories with my mother versus my dad as such. And I today, I mean, it's not that I accuse him, but I do tell my mom that I feel bad that he was never there, right? And she agrees that, yes, I agree. He was, even today, he's spending less time at home, right? Because he's a workaholic. He's still at 75, still goes to work. He's picked up new, obviously, post-retirement, he's picked up new stuff to do, right, in that sense. But somewhere, at least I feel that, I should not end up, I don't want my child to grow up and then accuse me that you were never there. So work does take me to office, to travel a lot. But generally, I keep checking in with my wife that, do you think I spend enough time? And she has to give that feedback that, I think you're there. Because I don't know, I won't know that, right? Because my child today won't be able to tell me. At 8, he'll be like, whatever time he gets, he'll enjoy. But somewhere I feel that, मुझे ऐसा लगता है, by the way, this is not, I have heard 65, 70-year-olds saying this, that we have sacrificed a lot for you. So you may feel that तू आज नहीं कर रही है, but I think if you start noticing what older people say, they do hold these thoughts. So today you may feel that you are not sacrificing a lot, but you may, if you are genuinely doing that.
पर वो तो मुझे भी लगेगा, like when I sat at home for 2 years, I'll be like, I did this for you and whatever. So I think that way parent will say, it could be a...
But इसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि we should not end up in that. See, you can never make it zero, but you can try and minimize that in some ways.
See, parenting in general has some amount of sacrifice related to it.
Some. It cannot be something that you will...
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But if you're saying कि I don't feel about the same way about it today, but I might feel... But it will never be related to just being at home or something like that.
It is generally
million other
hundreds of things. Correct.
वो तो age के साथ आता है. I guarantee, I think when we were young and we said कि हमारे parents में हमको ये खामियां नज़र आ रही है, हम लोग ऐसे नहीं करेंगे. And now we have replicated them and just become their versions, right? So I'm 100% sure कि आज मैं बहुत informatively बोल रही हूँ कि boss, I'll not be this person. Who knows यार how you evolve, right? But I'm saying at present, in the moment, I know that I've made an informed choice. I've known this going forward in this path कि ये decision मेरा है, मैंने लिया है, and I'm happy with it at this point of time, right? At the end of the day, the goal is मैं खुश हूँ कि नहीं, मेरा बच्चा खुश है कि नहीं. अभी उसका कितना भी mean median mode करो, फिर it just doesn't matter to me.
I just wanted to reinforce the point of what you just said. I think usually it becomes मेरा बच्चा खुश है कि नहीं. What you just said before that, मैं खुश हूँ कि नहीं, is also something that we should optimize for, is all I am saying. Yeah. Which I don't think a lot of parents do today.
I think when you have delivered the child, that becomes the primary concept, right? Child बन गया है. I think going back to that same millennial discussion कि अभी वो है, everything is about them, खाना कैसा खाना है उसके हिसाब से, time पे कब आना है उसके हिसाब से, parties जाना है कि नहीं जाना है उसके हिसाब से, and all of that. I mean, again, 0 to 2 wala journey may be a little bit like that, but after that, you can't stop living, right? Your life is your life. That you'll have to keep on living on the side. But वही है कि sacrifice उसको आप consider कर रहे हो कि नहीं, वो अलग बात है. मैं खुश हूँ doing whatever I'm doing. I think that is optimal for me at that point, right?
Makes sense. On that note, thank you both Maria and Nandini for spending so much time and sharing so openly about your journeys. I'm sure the audience at least took away a lot of things. If nothing else, at least they got to know both of you better. Thank you for helping build Mosaic Wellness and Little Joys, and hope you guys had fun as well.
Yeah, lots of fun. Thank you so much for having both of us here. I was initially very, very apprehensive, but I think this helped. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself.
Thanks for watching. Hi there. If you enjoyed watching the show, then please do subscribe to Tiffin Break on YouTube and Instagram to watch more such content. And if you want to be notified of the next episode, please do press the bell icon on the screen.